All right, I'm going to do a practice calculating airspace in your amount of sand problem. So, starting off, we're going to say we started off with 19.5 mils of dry sand. We added 17.3 mils of water. And when they mixed, remember we read it at this top line here, when we mixed them, we ended up with 32.4 mils. So, our goal is to find the airspace percentage. That's our end goal. Airspace percentage in our original amount of dry sand. How much of this is air in there, in between those tiny particles of sand? So the first thing you're going to do is start with your mixed. So here we have, this is just a water displacement problem. So once we add the water and the dry sand, the level rose to 32.4 mils. So now we can solve for the amount of sand particles alone. It's just water displacement, but it's a little confusing because it's sand. So we're going to start with mixed, and when I say mixed, that means sand plus water. I want to make sure you can still see it. Yeah. So we had 32.4 mils. Now we're going to subtract the amount of water we added. These will kind of cancel, and then we're left with how much sand we have. Sand particles alone. So we're going to subtract our 17.3 mils of water, and then we're going to end up with 15.1 mils of sand particles alone. So that's step one. That's the first thing you want to do. Now, step two, we need to solve for how much air was in this dry sand. So in our dry sand, when I say dry sand, here's step two. Dry sand means air and sand. We had 19.5 mils. When I say mils, I mean milliliters. 19.5 mils of dry sand, so air and sand. Now we can subtract the sand particles that we found, and then these will kind of cancel, and we'll be left with just air. So 19.5 minus our 15.1, and that will leave us with 4.4 milliliters of air. That's step two. Now the last step is just to find the percentage of our dry sand that was airspace. So this is just a fraction that you're going to set up. So what percentage of this 19.5 was just air? To do that, it's your 4.4 milliliters of air divided by how much air and sand we had, times it by 100, and we're left with about 23%. So about 23% of our original sample was just air. This is why using volume as a measurement sometimes has some limitations. Now on your test, you will have to know how to do this, but they might throw some curveballs at you. They might give you the percentage of air, and you kind of have to be able to work backwards. So making sure that you have a good understanding of not only the math involved here, but why we do these steps, what we're solving for, is going to be very beneficial. And as always, if you have questions, come see me.